Livestream where we delve into the pressing issues and emerging trends shaping the business landscape. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, but if you have questions, please feel free to add them to the chat and I will try to get to all of them during today's session. I'm Kathy Steele, and I'm the CEO of Red Caffeine and your host today. And for those of you unfamiliar with Red Caffeine, we are a growth consultancy. And we build and execute go-to-market plans for ambitious mid-market companies. Our service offering includes a fractional team that is led by a senior level marketing leader that enables a business to scale rapidly without hiring a full range of full-time staff members to move their growth plan forward. So today we have a topic that's super close to my heart, branding. It's where I started my career as a designer many, many moons ago. So while people think about branding as a logo or mark, we believe your brand is just so much more than that. And so I always like to equate branding with an analogy of a common thing that we've all likely done in the last week, month, or year. And so if you've heard me talk about branding, you may have heard me talk about this before. But what I encourage you to think about is the last time you went into a convenience store, opened the cooler, and selected a bottle of water. So depending on what water you selected, you've likely been influenced by the brand and the positioning of those waters. Did you pick Ice Mountain because it's affordable? Fiji because it's pure, or did you pick Smart Water because you've been influenced by Jennifer Aniston, who's beautiful and advocates for the electrolytes in the product? Those very same principles apply to how someone chooses your brand over your competitors, regardless of the industry you're in. So your brand is your logo, but it's also how you're positioned in the market. It's your value proposition and what makes you different in the eyes of your customers and employees. So today I'm really excited to have David Karbin, VP of Lexco Cable, join us. So Lexco's been a client of Red Caffeine for about 5 years now, and David's going to share some of the fun and tactical parts of branding and how it's impacted his business, customers, and employees. So let's jump in. So David, you know how I like to start things off. I think everybody that's joining us today has probably read a little bit about you, but tell us something fun that's not on the bio.
Okay. I love playing pickleball. I'm trying to do it once a week. Yesterday, I finished my 4, 5, 6 class and I graduated. So, love doing that. I also want to mention that I'm married. I have a young family. I want to say hi to Jordan, who's 6, and Tyler, who's 8, and Ethan, who's 11. And I want to say hi to my dog, Lexi, and hi to my wife, Abby. Abby's my rock. She keeps me from getting lost.
I love it. It was sort of funny that my daughter recently shared that my grandson found out that I was a streamer and I became immediately way cooler in his eyes. So I'm glad you shouted out your kids and your family
And
today.
then just on the kind of business adjacent side, I want to mention that I'm in my second year of TMA board of directors, and it's been really nice opportunity to meet other local business owners and entrepreneurs and consultants, and I've enjoyed participating and learning from others in that way.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for giving back to your community by being a volunteer on the TMA board. I know they probably really appreciate your participation. So let's talk about Lexco for a few minutes. Can you give us a brief overview of Lexco and your role?
Yes, the first thing to know is that it's a family business, and I'm proud to be the third generation here. My grandpa, Harold, started the business as a hardware store, and then it became a bicycle franchise because Schwinn locally was giving away franchises when you were dealing a couple bikes. And my grandpa and his brother were creative inventor types, and they saw an opportunity to make security cables to go with their bike sales. And they were do-it-yourselfers. They started crimping their loops in-house with a press that they bought. And they started making more and more until the point where they needed more coated reels of cable. and they actually bought a used extruder where they started coating themselves and manufacturing and making, security cables in-house. And that was all while they had a retail shop in the front. So fast forward to 1974, they restructured the business as completely wholesale and distribution and fabrication. And then in the 70s, my dad joined the company, and he took security cables for bicycle lockup to security cables for retail lockup. And then that was a stepping stone to making security cables for industrial applications. And over the years, he added to that, making bungee assemblies. Um, and then fast forward a little bit, I've been full time for 18 years. And the last 15 of which we've been ISO 9001 certified. So over time, we've become like more professional, and we fleshed out our engineering departments and our quality departments. I'm focusing on sales and purchasing and marketing heavily, but I also have involvement in production. For example, I lead our CNC department where we make some of our fittings in-house. And I also want to mention that my Aunt Karen is on our executive team as well. And this year is a milestone because Lexco is celebrating 50 years under our current framework.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It's hard to get to 10 years. So we're always really in awe of any business that has a legacy of that long. So, and so cool that you're multi-generational. Um, so David, let's talk about the topic at hand. What led you to focus on branding as one of your strategic priorities?
It stemmed from the website. I always endeavored to improve the website, and that was the perfect venue to showcase products and also tell our story. So that's where it was born from. And it's definitely been a slow journey. So we usually relaunch the website with significant changes maybe every 5 years or so. So every time we've done that, we've been more thoughtful about what pages to include where maybe we didn't before, or maybe to highlight some pages differently. And I'm super pumped that later this year the website gets another relaunch with your help.
Yeah.
Um, that'll be great for mobile and everything. But in between those 5 year spans, it hasn't been a set it and forget it static type of enterprise. We do mini updates 1 to 2 times a month where we add a picture to our gallery, add a blog, or add a piece of content in one form or another. And so we've been maintaining it routinely. And we also try to tie in our branding. We're getting more savvy at doing that. We think about it holistically. The branding is intertwined throughout the marketing. And what you can see in the photo there is that the branding has expanded from the screen of the website into the building here. So that's a picture of our remodeled foyer.
Yeah. So I mean, I love that you really highlighted the fact of how much your brand is, part of the online experience on your website. I think that is like sometimes a miss for in some organizations, especially in manufacturing, where there's this sentiment that people aren't even going to their website, and how much impact and how much focus you've had at Lexco on making sure that brand experience is on your digital presence. But let's talk a little bit about the internal branding. So every interaction with your company is essentially a brand touch point. And so they all play a role in your customer and employee experience. So knowing that those things really impact the business, you did recently make this pretty significant investment on your internal branding. And so tell us a little bit about, why and what that initiative entailed.
Yeah, before the walls were pretty sparse, and just to tell you how I am personally, like if my living room has white walls, it bothers me. I want things to be on the wall that are cool or meaningful. And so what I had done over the years before this was take artifacts, pictures, articles that I could find and go over to the great frame up and then look forward to when I put them on the wall and then, admire them. And I'm not going to stop doing that. But it was kind of piecemealed, and there wasn't really any like showpiece or big cohesive thing. It was like little things here and there, little wall hangers. So for the first time, we kind of thought about it um, in a bigger scope. Like, how could we make an impact and an impression when you enter the space? When you visit a foyer where there's like nothing in it except a door, it's like it's just a blank slate, and you can think what you want. But when your perception is guided by what's been curated, it's a whole nother level of impression. But it wasn't just going from this big idea to landing on what you see on the sides of the slide. A big stepping stone was developing Lexco brand standards, which is what you're seeing a glimpse of in the middle of that slide. So you're seeing colors that are assigned to our brand. You're seeing multiple logos that are assigned to the brand. One more traditional, that's primary, and then also secondary versions that are the more abbreviated with the X from Lexco. And so without that being in place, we couldn't have made the leap. It was kind of like the foundation for the project. And of course the logo has developed over time. The X logo that you see on the right, that didn't even exist 5 years ago. Red Caffeine helped us to make that, and that was interesting to learn that there was even a need for a secondary logo. So that was another stepping stone along the way. And it's been a joint effort. I try to soak up knowledge from our partners and kind of make it a joint effort when we're doing something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, really appreciate you talking about where the foundational elements started to play a role. I think, do we have a next slide that we want to go to kind of show some of how this all unfolded in terms of the foyer experience?
Yeah. So that couch was new, and we tried to match the yellow from the brand standards. It used to be a very nondescript chair that was falling apart. And then we painted on one side one of the greenish blues from our brand standards. And then the actual material, like people ask, like, is that wallpaper? It's, interesting. It's actually a vinyl that you can print anything you want on it, and then it goes up in a similar manner to a wallpaper. So it's totally customizable, and that's how it came out.
So, we obviously know that your customers are going to visit you on occasion, and so they're going to experience that foyer for themselves. But this effort really had some effect on your employees. Can you talk a little bit about that impact that it's had on the team?
Yeah. So in the background of that mosaic collage of products, when you're up close, it's large enough, big enough where you can make out all the details. So it was a bit of a surprise for some employees. I didn't tell everybody in advance. So there was like a big reveal, like where employees were on break, and all of a sudden there was a completely redone wall where there wasn't. And I kind of stood back and watched what happened. And there was like pointing and chatting. And what they were doing was saying, I remember making that assembly and I know which customer that's for. And so there was a, a connection that was, on a whole deeper level for an employee, but still a great impression to a customer, but just in a much deeper way for the employee getting to experience it too.
Yeah, I think it's so like I think we forget the impact of showcasing the work that we do, and just the pride that our employees feel in some of the things that they've contribute to over the years. So I love that you were able to see that firsthand, and I actually love there was that element of a surprise. But talk a little bit about the impact that it's had on you.
Yep. So just like the employees had a fun moment, I had an aha moment as well. And my epiphany was that, well, there was a holy shit moment. I should have done this sooner. It's amazing. I can't believe it. Um, because when you're doing something like this, you've looked at it on the screen about 100 times. It's a different thing when it's on a whole entire wall, and it. I didn't think it was gonna like give me a wow factor, but it did. It blew me away, and I was thinking about it, in the weeks that followed, like, wow, why why did that connect with me in an unexpected way? And I think it was because I kind of it had Lexco's DNA and it had my blueprint on it too. It had my thumbprint, because the concept of it was shaped by me, and I got to oversee, from idea to completion, and so it really felt like my own, and it felt like I was putting my presence in the company in a visual way, and that made it very exciting for me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when we work with businesses that have multi generations, and sometimes it's challenging to feel like you've really made something your own or made some change in the business. So I'm glad that you had that deeper emotional connection beyond that. It just looks so much cooler. And I love that you've been able to pull it throughout the plant. There's just so many other elements and touch points that have been updated and refreshed and so it's not just the foyer. It really carries through to many of the other areas within the building.
Yeah, it was a domino effect.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think your account leader Rachel. I know she was championing this idea, and I think you also even have maybe some yellow M&Ms in the foyer now too, or something like that. Just some additional branded elements.
Yes, they thank you for those. They come out fast, so you have to be ready. Yeah, it a little pop of something fun, that it had our X logo on it, was really cool, and it made it extra special. And yeah, shout out to Rachel. She had a vision before I could see it.
Well, you had to pull the trigger, so it's a collaborative effort. So let's swing back around back to the website and the user experience. So how important has the branding strategy been in terms of the user experience, and what have been some of the investments that you've made here online?
Yeah, for me, the branding on the website is like everything. It's so important, can't be understated. On the in the left view, it's the top half of our homepage above the fold, if you will, and that top banner is a slideshow, and we get to customize that to what we want to promote the most. And then just under that, we have these 6 categories of products: wire rope fittings, wire rope hardware, cable railing, push pull controls, and bungee cord. And so everything is one click away from the home page, and we're kind of guiding the user journey in a way that hopefully is natural. In the second picture that you see there is one of our drop down menus, which is right off the top navigation. And so we've got these buckets under About Us. You won't just find history, you'll also find information about markets we serve, for example. Under Resources, you can find many different downloads. And on the left part of this slide, you'll see an assembly configurator. And we wanted to make it easy for a customer that doesn't have a drawing or a print to select what they want, without having us, babysit that experience on a phone call, which we're happy to do. But it's nice to be able to let somebody filter and find something that way that allows them to define what they want, even when they couldn't put their finger on it beforehand. So, yeah, just to say it again, the website design and the branding strategy, they're like they're at the forefront. They're so important. We focus on them in the same light.
Yeah, I think that, what we always strive for is to extend the brand and the brand experience to what you really want customers to feel. And your site really demonstrates just this ease of use, this, resourcefulness, this, intuitiveness, and then, meeting somebody where they're at. You've got, things like your phone number front and center, as well as, if somebody wants to do it themselves, they can use the configurator
Mm-hmm.
and play along by themselves. So let's talk about, one of your passions, because I can remember before we did the big website, the first big website initiative with you guys 5 years ago, that I had the talk with you and your father to ensure that we were going to make sure we were not going to lose any of the great SEO and some of the things that you had built in terms of domain authority and things like that. So people want information. Brands that deliver this, type of information get notice, get clicks. So can you really talk about some of the things that have been instrumental in terms of your online strategy, like your blog content, and how those have really built Lexco as a thought leader in the industry?
Yeah, right. We revamped the blog recently and have been working on posts for it monthly on average. And when I work with copy on a rough draft, I'm writing it to my customer. It's my love letter to the customer. Okay. However, that draft goes through a process where it's combed through to see, are the keywords that could be there that are relevant and important to us, are those keywords there? So it's also crafted to that search engine optimization audience too. And so we try to marry and overlap those audiences so that the blog reads like it was written by a person for a person, but at the same time, there's nooks and crannies of keywords in there, which Google's able to pick up with its crawlers, and those are keywords that are deliberate and appropriate too. And because if you try to just cheat on that, Google's too smart for that now.
Exactly, exactly. Give a couple of examples if you don't mind. Could you,
Yes. So wire rope is one of the biggest keyword phrases in our space. So we've done blogs such as what's the right wire rope for me. One of our biggest manufacturing processes is coating wire rope with plastic through extrusion. So we've done a blog about different types of coated cable and how and why. And then we delve into topics about some of the fittings, such as, okay, let's compare swaged fittings to swageless fittings, which is one of the conversation topics that happens from time to time, on phone calls with the customer. So we picked that as one that would be good to address in a blog because the appetite's there.
yeah, I love that you're marrying things that conversations that you're having with customers to your online strategy. And David, I think that the SEO piece has played just so much of a relevant place. And I don't know that always people understand SEO and its connection to brands. So can you talk, to some of the additional strategies that have also worked well for you at Lexco?
Yes, and just to put it out there, I'm a technical sales guy. So when it comes to technical SEO, I know as much as I need to be dangerous and to collaborate on it. So without getting into the weeds, things about SEO that stand out to me are, of course, they start simple, optimizing images to the right resolution and the right tags. There's basics. Um, but then you also want to optimize the text. I There's so many times where I'll be perusing a website and I'll notice that there's just like one or two sentences and I see that. I see, oh my gosh, they should have put a couple paragraphs there. Because you sometimes lose out on opportunities where by complementing some of your pictures with text, you get so much more mileage for that content, and so it's an opportunity to be had, and so yeah, we there's all these little things, and it's not just one thing. It all culminates. It's cumulative.
Yeah, I feel like, I think we talked about some of the things that you've done in terms of branded and non-branded keywords and, investing in making the site mobile friendly. And we're even going to be, making it more mobile friendly and optimizing the images. So how, let's talk about a little bit more about, the content and how SEO and your content creation has impacted some of the results on the site. So what have been some of the site traffic and customer engagement metrics?
Yeah. Um, when you first learn about website traffic, your mind immediately goes to, let's maximize that as much as possible. But you could potentially have a misstep because you want the traffic to be traffic that is like meaningful, like
Right.
warm traffic that's actually going to have interest in the products and services that you're showing on your site. So there's a term in marketing called a sales funnel, and I always go back to that because it's literally a funnel, easy to think about and visualize. At the wide end of the funnel, maybe just above the funnel, is the traffic. And what you try to, and hopefully that traffic sticks around for more than a couple seconds, and that leaves an impression. And if you don't do a good job on your site, people click away very fast, and that doesn't get you anywhere. So what we try to do is to have the impressions transform into leads, and then if when we do our best job in connecting to the customer, then that lead can transform further into a converted request. Could be a request for information, could be a request for quote. We love those. It could be I'm picking up the phone call. It could be I'm just going to send you an old-fashioned email. But that's what the goal is to bring people through that funnel to engage with us, and then we can do our best work with them.
Yeah, and I think you invest a lot of time. I think the picture on the left really showcases some of the resources that you've invested in building out for customers that are like more in the research phase. Is that accurate on that left-hand side?
Yes, those are downloads. So we put things like brochures there, a copy of our ISO cert, and then we put like glossaries and more product focused information, and then we also have downloads about, say, a military customer market, and basically different tools. So it's a combination of like literature and tools to either inform or inspire the customer.
Yeah. Well, and I think this has actually had some, real impact on some of the metrics that in terms of performance, as well as RFPs and even overall revenue. Can you speak to some of those performance metrics?
Yes. So when the current version of the site launched in 2020, approximately, like within a year of that, we had one of our best years ever, our best year ever, to be certain. And there we had a bump in traffic, and that bump in traffic led to a bump in impressions and leads and so on. On the right side of the screen, you can see a screenshot from our gallery, and what I love about our gallery is two things. You can, more than two, let's be honest. It's got our products. I love our products, and it's high resolution imagery, and I love that. But there's that yellow button allows you to filter. So we wanted to add so many pictures, it was hard to find what you want. So there's a filter feature, which is nice. But then also, once you zoom in on the picture, you can request information about that picture and share a link to that picture. So the gallery becomes like a catalog in the way that you can inquire and share as well.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I remember, I think your original site before we redesigned it had like 9,000 pages on it. Now, you still have a lot of pages on your site, but it's way more optimal. You use great photography, but it's optimized properly so that, the experience is both informative, but it's also efficient, and it's got those fast load times and such. So, when we're thinking about, other mid-market businesses, and I mean, honestly, David, you're so knowledgeable. You're just you definitely. It's such a great collaboration, especially on the digital side of your brand. But what are some of the things that you would tell another mid-market organization, whether they're in manufacturing or not? Why would they invest in branding, marketing, technology? What would you tell them?
It's such a difference maker. It's hard to convince some people to put time and energy and resources there, but I can genuinely say that it's a big fuel for Lexco. Has been to this point, will be moving forward too. Um, it differentiates you. It puts you on the map, um, and so you kind of have to trust and be patient because it's it's not there isn't a shortcut. You have to put in the work.
Yeah, I feel like I know, you remember Julie, that was the 401k. I'm sure those are some of the things that she talked about in terms of, that you're making an investment and it's going to pay off, but it's not going to always have that immediate gratification that some people are hoping for. But it's definitely, if you work the plan, if you stay committed, you're going to get better and better results over time. So as we're thinking about, the future, and some of the emerging trends, I mean, oh my gosh, there's just so many things going on in marketing today. What are some of the things that you guys are thinking about, watching closely, and how are they going to impact your brand and some of the future strategies that you have?
Yes. When I was starting my career, companies were starting to do videos of like company tours, and video is still an emerging trend, but except now it's not like it was. It's not a 10-minute video. It's a short video, and I had to get with the times and learn what shorts were and what reels were, because that's where the eyeballs are, and that's where the algorithms put in front of people to see it. So we think it's a nice bite-sized way to share information, no matter the kind, and actually have it be seen too. So that's what I would think about with an emerging trend is short videos and
Yeah,
reels.
I definitely agree. I mean, it's just, I think we're appropriate. And if we think about even what Victor talked about last month in terms of overall online strategy and how, like, what to put on your website, what to host on YouTube, I think it can be super impactful to your brand strategy and customer experience. So what other things are on the horizon for Lexco in terms of their branding efforts that aren't technically emerging trends?
Um, Other things on the horizon. Um, so we're going to take the interior branding, like you see on the banner over my shoulder, and we're going to really grow that into the new website homepage. So we're going to double down on that. Um, and we're just going to continue with the interior branding. At the same time, we're going to paint more walls, put up more graphics, and more banners, and I have some ideas I haven't even
All
told you
right.
about.
Well, we're excited about that. I know we want to, make sure that brand gets extended to the front of the building as well. So I can't believe it's been just such a pleasure to have you on today, David, and hear your business story. And you just really are such a great partner. So I really thank you for being present and sharing your experience with our audience today. So can we show how, if somebody wants to get a hold of David, how to reach out to him? All right.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. I always enjoy
Yeah,
talking to
it
you.
really has been fun prepping and just, kind of going back memory lane and thinking about how we came together and some of the work that we've done over the 5 years of working with you. So if you want to talk with David about his experience or anything with the Lexco product line, please reach out and put business as unusual in the subject line or your communication so he knows that you learned about his company and his experiences at the business as unusual live stream. So I want to always, make sure that we thank our sponsors because they are key to keeping our business as unusual going. We've got M3 Learning, and they are, Salesforce support, so creating sales superstars through training and coaching. And then we have HR Source, and HR Source is the Association for Employers, and they help manage HR needs efficiently and economically. And with that, we also have our next guest, the president and CEO of HR Source, one of our favorite returning guests, Mary Lynn Fayomi, and she is going to be talking with me about how businesses can adapt their staffing strategies through fractional staffing options. And so fractional employment is really becoming more and more popular in today's marketplace because hiring is hard. So a lot of organizations are really exploring different solutions and flexible staffing options for their ever-changing business landscape. So we're going to be talking about the world of fractional staffing. We're going to talk about how it boosts your workforce agility and efficiency, how it can maybe save you some money or allow you to hire a senior level person or a specialist that you could never really afford full time. We do it ourselves. We're fractional, so we totally drink the Kool-Aid, and we're going to give you even some guidance on to how to measure the ROI of engaging with a fractional service provider. So I want to thank you again for joining us at the Business as Unusual live stream. Again, I'm Kathleen Steele, and it was super fun and thrilling to host this discussion with David. We hope you really got a lot from the ideas and the insights that we've shared today. And this is going to help you think differently about how to invest in your brand and how it can have impact on your business, your customers, your employees. And we're really hoping you apply some of the lessons learned today and keep exploring new ways to make your brand stand out from the competition in the marketplace. So if you need more insights or resources, please feel free to reach out to any of us at Red Caffeine. So let's continue to challenge the usual and push towards innovative, customer and employee-centric business solutions. Until next time, we'll keep building badass businesses that people want to work with and for. And thank you.